Okay, thank you very much for your wonderful discussion. So now we have our last session of the day, focusing on incentivizing general financing instruments through public-private partnerships. Please welcome our moderator, Dr. Mabel Lu Miao, the co-founder and the Secretary General of the Center for China and Globalization.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to our new panel and the last but not least session on the incentivizing gender financing instruments through public, private, and the partnerships PPP. And as discussed in the previous themes, financing for gender equality certainly has the opportunity of advance both in international development cooperation and from the public policy perspective. Given the significant and dynamic financial market, China has the potential to promote the gender finance. We look forward to further discuss and dialogue and knowledge sharing in this theme, exploring how public-private partnerships can incentivize gender financing. A friendly reminder, as the time already exceeded our schedule, so a kind of reminder to all the speakers that each presentation should not more than 5 minutes, and the interactive responses should be limited to 2 to 3 minutes per participant. Yes, please, as time is limited, sorry. Firstly, it's my great honor to introduce Professor Wang Yao, the Director General of the International Institute of Green Finance. With years of research experience in the field of sustainable finance, Professor Wang Yao is distinguished expert in this field. I know Ms. Wang Yao is also the researcher of Cambridge University, has the abundant experience in this field. The IIGF has established a close partnership with UN Women. In 2023, IIGF collaboration with UN Women to conduct a landscape study on financial support for gender equality and women's empowerment in China. This study summarized international and domestic measures in the financial sector to support gender equality, explored innovative concepts and the pathways for gender finance products. This year earlier, IIGF and UN Women co-hosted a workshop titled Navigating Gender Inclusive Finance for a Sustainable Future, providing a platform for facilitate exchange and sharing, and jointly promote the development of gender finance in Chinese market. So, is we know that it's evident that IIGF has long been committed to advancing the power of she. The power of she. I love this concept in green finance. Conducting various studies and the activities related to gender financing. Given your expertise in the sustainable finance, could you share with us how sustainable finance or the climate finance can contribute to gender equality? And what are the opportunities and the challenges, especially looking at the commitments made in the most recent COP? We know some of our participants are already participated at COP in different countries in the past years, where a gender action has also been agreed. The floor is yours.
First, great thanks to the invitation. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to have an exchange with outstanding women and men that have an interest in women development on such a special occasion. And before answering the question of the moderator, I would like to make a comment to previous sessions. So first, SDG 5 is a basic element. Unfortunately, there is no country that has achieved gender equality in full, since especially in the financial sector, women receive relatively limited opportunities. Experts in previous sessions share some statistics. While World Bank issued in 2020 women doing business and a report and said the women do not have equal access to employment, and the ILO report also shows that the women labor market is only 70%, 5% of women. When Gordon, Harvard professor, won the Nobel Prize, whose research also cooperated that in the past years of economic growth, in terms of job opportunities of women, actually that were not improved due to the economic gains. So gender equality is still an issue to be addressed. We also know closing gender gap is going to produce a great potential for GDP. A study shows if women employment increases, it can bring 6 trillion USD of GDP. And in contrast, the global GDP will lose 16%. If that is to say, if the gap further widens. And we also hear on today that gender financing has already achieved progress in public the realm, but when it comes to sustainable financing, we know that finance itself can in a lot of ways support women development, including more opportunities to receive financial services. That is one of the issues that we face in the financial sector. One is the lacking of regulation on or in other words, stakeholders actually see the concept of gender equality and as an integral part of what they provide. And we heard about the fiscal measures, but when it comes to financial policies and instruments and toolkits, despite products that favor women and even target women on loans, for example, but they constitute a very small share in the whole universe of financial products. So we lack a targeted support. And Thomas also talked about data or quantification. In the financial sector, the reason that a financial system cannot target women right now is that we do not have data about their financing needs. That is also absent in public as well as private sector, or we say the PPP model is crucial. But PPP lacks mechanism to provide targeted support to women. With these absence, sustainable finance can provide improvement in a variety of ways, one of which is to increase women's opportunities on financial services. There are barriers such as we lack property ownership and also education-wise. Ms. Yang said actually even for the Central Academy of Finance and Durham University, and there are more female students in both universities, but on a more general level, the level of women receiving higher education is still lower, and there are also socio and cultural elements as well. We need to provide more opportunities of training and capacity building so that they can increase their levels of financial knowledge, and we can develop a more women targeted and friendly products and services. And we encourage financial institutions to adopt gender differentiated policies, for example, gender equality based loan policies, and also female employment and also entrepreneurship. So for these two parts, and the challenges that we have right now are the short of resources and funding, and for sustainable financing, we would be able to support them. For instance, in terms of financing support, for instance, we have heard about the Goldman Sachs project that was mentioned by Ms. Dong, and we are also following up on this project. So basically, for these women, and they start with the micro and the small businesses, and sometimes they can even get listed. Through this process, they would be able to further receive training. And another one is same same work and for the same pay, equal pay. And so for me, and I actually have a lot of both male and female students under my master's degree teaching. And I often say to the boys that they don't have to mention about finding a job. And sometimes there are situations whereby the women are actually better than the men graduates. And the employers would even prefer to hire men despite women being better because they're worried about women getting married and taking maternity leave, etc. So we really need to have policies in place to support women. In addition, we also need to bridge the gender pay gap. And at the moment, the pay gap is still existing in the world, and this is universal. And in terms of our education as well as resources sharing and allocation, and we do see that there is a area whereby women are disadvantaged. And we do believe that we need to find more opportunities for women to have a better income and for sustainable resources, and sustainable financing can also push forward for the development of a society. And the status of a woman represents the civilization of a country. If you can help with women's development, and this also helps with the gender equality, and therefore in terms of enhancing financial services, and this is a very important hallmark of the improvement of women's status and their financial situation. And another very simple question I would like to mention: for the past few years, and especially in COP28 that has just concluded last December, and we see a lot of topics for the push for gender equality. And yes, indeed, we have a lot of these initiatives, and for instance, to help women and to make sure that they can obtain more rights. And what we have discovered is that there are still a lot of challenges, and one being that whether it is from the basic level and for women, and they are actually still quite limited. And in terms of the allocation of resources, and it's still at a very lower level for women, and they need to participate in the decision-making process. Another challenge is that for climate economy and green economy, sustainable economy, people have realized gender factors need to be included. However, to be dedicated to the resolution of gender gap, and for instance, to empower women, and in terms of all these above areas, it's still very lacking. And for instance, in asset management, at the moment, there are about 190 trillion asset under management globally, and there is a very little asset management that is dedicated to gender equality. And we have heard from AIIB's expert as well as our financial expert, and in terms of their project, it is possible that they may have such indicators. However, generally speaking, for such asset management, asset under management, and whether it is dedicated to women or gender equality, and it is still very lacking. In addition, in terms of climate change, and especially in terms of prevention of disasters, and for women, women are a special group in this area. And how do we make sure that we would be able to help women to adapt to natural disasters better? So this would still require a systematic resolution, and we need to improve those in all fronts.
Professor Wang, it's very wonderful. Actually, we need to use more financial instruments to leverage those instruments to empower the women and their capability and capacities. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to welcome Ms. Li Ye, who is the Vice President and the Vice Chairman of China Association Enterprises with Foreign Investment, as well as the VP of Merck Holding. It's a well-known multinational. With her wealth and corporate experience and perspectives on foreign investment, I'm confident that her insights will be invaluable to all of us. We know the Healthy Women, Healthy Economies initiative by Merck Group aims to improve women's health and unlock their economic potential. We know that this initiative will empower women and their families to participate, grow, and thrive in their communities, ultimately enhancing their quality of life. So I would like to ask Ms. Lee that since Merck has signed WEPs with the UN Women, and as the Vice President of Merck Holding, what strategies have you found successful in encouraging companies to engage in gender equality initiatives? Furthermore, as the Vice Chair of, we know you are the Vice Chair of the China Association of Enterprises with Foreign Investment. There's a big group of those multinational companies in China. How do you leverage your role in Foreign Investment Association to guide companies in responsive funding raising? How can companies be effectively involved in impact financing? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miao, to invite me and also invite Merck to contribute to this important topic, investing women, accelerating progress. You know, Merck is a leading science technology. We have 350 years. We produce medicines. We provide medicines to global patients. Around 10 years ago, and Merck just find we want to do more, just do the medicine solutions and giving to the patients, and rather than engage the public sectors to help the government to form the policy toolkit and also to contribute more as a funding sectors as a partner of women health. With the Asia Pacific Economic Collaboration, we cooperate with the government from the United States and the Philippines. We start a so-called Healthy Woman, Healthy Economy, this initiative. Then, so what we do is that we find this gender gap is really, there is a big potential. We could unlock the power and the potential women around the world. There are some staggering facts that we discovered. For example, there are 860 million of number of women across the globe who are not reaching their economic potential due to the preventable causes. There are also 28 trillion estimated amount that would be added to the annual global GDP by 2025 if women were participating in economy at the same level as men. And also, a shame that is 217 years, according to World Economic Forum and Global Gender Gap Report, it will take 217 years until women have to reach the equal pay to representation in the workplace. There are also 65% of non-communicable disease are the leading cause of the death of the woman, an amount of the estimated 65% of all female disease worldwide. So those numbers are meaning we will have a more responsibility to do better, and a healthy women will lead to healthy economy. So we advocate for women would have access to health solutions, awareness of the options available to them to advance their health and well-being. And also in a lot of global countries, we want to reduce the severe detriment to women's health caused by trying to balance the family and workplace responsibilities. So in China and in a lot of countries, we started an initiative called Embracing Care, because we just find in the workplace a professional woman will not only need to deliver the work, but also need to take care of the elderly families, parents, very young toddler, and our husband, our loved ones, and that sometimes it will cause anxiety and distress. And sometimes it's not really properly get a treatment in a lot of countries. So Merck donate medicines, and especially in fertilities and also thyroid disease medicines, and also give some free medical treatment to screening to TSH, the thyroid disease. And in China, So we found women suffer a lot of difficulties in infertility. So 1 out of 10 couples in China now are having difficulty to conceive. So infertility problem is also quite wide. Then we collaborate with Women Development Foundation. A lot of years ago, we started a collaboration program to donate infertility medicines and counseling hotlines and support the women for infertility problems. So health is an issue, but also we feel that women in leadership diversity is that multinational companies has really the responsibility to advocate. And we set up some principle that not only in China, but in every countries that 50% of the leadership role need to have female people, right? All the important talks we need to place some women, female as speakers, and then so this diversity council need to set up and together in the management team there to advocate. So not only Merck, but when I work for multinational, there are a lot of companies similar together with Merck. We started this women initiative, women empowerment in several years ago, started really work our talks to place female positions in the leadership role. In Merck, our CEO is a female. Out of 350 years, it's the first time that we have a female CEO in global. Is also we're the traditional German company, but our CEO is from Spain, and also is a woman doctor. And after that, our CFO is changing into a woman, and also our global health senior vice president is also coming from China, has a background of Germany, and also but is a female as well. And also China healthcare managing director becomes female as well after the COVID. This not only happened to Merck, but we noticed that from a lot of other companies, from Novartis, from Novo Nordisk, from Bayer, from Bristol Myers Squibb, after COVID in China, managing director position all changed into female. I think that because maybe females were more good at multitasking, communication, collaboration, and also empathy, and also patience. So those qualities are very important for the leadership nowadays. The diversity issues and women in leadership that we consciously investing for, and also this is we do not afraid of risk, and also we want to empower women to take their own decisions and business decisions, serious decisions involving a lot of dollars, but let women to do those decisions. Basically, we do our part. We contribute this theme by implementing our KPI into our business decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Li from Merck Holding. It's quite impressive what you said about the more positions in China, the multinational company. Female leaders. I know some of your colleagues. Many of them are female leaders. Quite impressive. Did a very good job. And I met your CEO, a female CEO, in Munich Security Conference. That is a tough conference, but the soft power inside it is a female leadership. Thank you very much. And I would like to, I'm delighted to introduce Mr. Stephen Campbell, serving as the representative of United Nations Industry Development Organization, UNIDO, in China. We look forward to his perspective on gender equality issue from the standpoint of industry development support to SMEs. I would like to ask a question to Mr. Stephen Campbell. What are the experiences and the practices can be shared on improving financial inclusion through investment and support for small and medium-sized enterprises, and women's economic empowerment, and how is the related gender financing? Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Conversation has been about public-private partnerships, and I first have to make a disclaimer that I'm neither from the public sector nor from the private sector, but I'm from an international organization that is very close to the private sector. And therefore, I first of all want to acknowledge by way of preamble some of the points that have been made that gender empowerment, gender equality, and women's empowerment is not a favor. Yeah, it's good for the whole of society and for the industry as well. You need to stand for inclusive and sustainable industrial development. There are papers, there are publications that demonstrate that women, gender equality and women's empowerment contributes to the increase of GDP, contributes to the boosting of innovation. Why? Because as the previous speaker said, they come with different perspectives and different problem-solving capabilities. But also, it's been shown that even for sustainable development, women tend to invest more in greener industries than in conventional industries. So I think this is something we need to acknowledge and to understand. However, I want to make also by way of proposition to say that while financing for women's empowerment, women's economic development is crucial, UNIDO's proposition is to take a more comprehensive approach. And I think we need to underline this here very strongly, that financing only, important as it is, may not be sufficient to really reduce gender disparity. So it's about capital on one end, which is what the financing is focusing about, whether it's financial or technological capital, but it's also about capacity building. This is why our interventions, no matter the level of funding that we inject, it always has to go with an element, a strong element of capacity building, and for that matter, also a strong element of collaboration. Oftentimes, the question of building coalitions among different business entities is a question of ensuring there is proper coordination between different entities that are playing. So I think this comprehensive approach that recognizes that it's not just about capital, but it's also about capacity building, but even more importantly, also about collaborative efforts, which is why we're here today, essentially, to have this exchange and make sure that we work on collaborative frameworks. However, if you want me also to give, as you have requested, some specific examples of where we have worked and where, I wouldn't say PPP, but where we have leveraged public structures and public funding with our own grant-related interventions to make sure that issues of women's empowerment are taken into consideration. I will give a particular example. First of all, here in China, we've just completed recently the rehabilitation of small hydropower stations in China, about almost 20 of them that are really age-old, very old ones. And what we did in this intervention with the Ministry of Water Resources, this was a joint project, and we dealt with it in different provinces. And the thing I want to highlight is that we ensured at every stage of the implementation of this project, right from training up to the level of management representation in the oversight of the small hydropowers, that women were involved and women were playing a key role. So I think from an institutional perspective, this is very important. Of course, I've heard, and congratulations to my colleague Beate about the level of gender focus or women's focus that they have achieved in programming. Also, I think for us in UNIDO, we are working very hard in that respect on programming and making sure that we used to be, I think, 17%. We are probably now close to 50% for all projects having to undertake gender focus elements in their design. So it's a tough call, but this is exactly what is being required of us, including in panels. We don't have male-only panels anymore. We have to have this balance. So this is one example. Another example I could give you is a project we did in the automotive industry in India, where also the elements of gender empowerment were key, not in the training of women, in skills that are normally male-dominated. I want to emphasize this, that in our intervention, it is one thing to focus on areas that women are normally popular with, but also we try to change the narrative. To put women in places where they would normally not perhaps be seen to be, in areas in automotive industry. So the case of India is one specific case where we have achieved that. We are also working in the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, where the representation of women in women-owned businesses is about 5%. So it's really, really low. So there, our approach is more from a forum perspective, bringing in different business leaders, linking them with international business leaders so that they can exchange ideas and build on successful innovations. I saw the 1 minute sign and I don't want to fall foul of that. So I think I can go with more examples in Tanzania where I was before coming here. We have also worked on specific grant mechanisms that are designed to support, first of all, women included programs, but more importantly, women-led, and even more importantly, women-owned businesses, because I think there are 3 levels of inclusion that we can talk about. And I think women-owned is probably the best if we move from women-included, women-led, and women-owned. So there, we have a grant mechanism that is performance-based for waste-to-energy developers, where we really give special accent to women-owned and women-led businesses. So we can give you details on these specific interventions, but I think by way of examples, these are some that I will say. And so inclusive financing, but more importantly, emphasize that a comprehensive approach is very, very crucial to include capacity building, as well as building of collaborative mechanisms and frameworks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stephen Carbo from UNIDO. You remind us that not just the women on the table should deliver the speech. We engage more women on the table and deliver speech. Not just the women be invested, should invest in the future, invest other fields. So women in business and on business, for by themselves, that is very important. Spark the light you inspire us as well. So I would like to move to another speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Zhang Fan, the head of Greater China Business Development at Luxembourg Stock Exchange. She will join us online. With years of invaluable experience in Chinese financial institutions across both China and Luxembourg, Ms. Zhang Fan brings a wealth of expertise to the realm of stock exchange and sustainable finance. In 2022, your women and the Luxembourg Stock Exchange signed MOU to collaborate on gender bonds. The Luxembourg Stock Exchange marked a significant milestone in the realm of sustainable finance when it established a dedicated gender-focused bond flag on its leading platform for sustainable finance, which is called the Luxembourg Green Exchange. By dedicating their to the women's empowerment, these bonds are now easily identifiable for investors passionate about driving positive social change. This groundbreaking initiative was part of the broader commitment to fostering gender equality and women's empowerment. So, Ms. Zhang Fan, could you please share your insights on how stock exchanges can better to SDGs related to the gender equality? Please also share Luxembourg Stock Exchange initiative on gender bonds. What is it and how it is related to gender financing? Please.
Thank you, Dr. Lu Miao. And
it's a great honor. I would like to thank the invitation. I'm glad to be here on such an important occasion. And from the perspective of a financial infrastructure, Luxembourg Stock Exchange to share with you my ideas. Well, we are a world leader for bond listing, home to Luxembourg Green Exchange LGX. We are the world's first exclusive platform for sustainable securities. Our mission is to promote sustainable investment practices and help direct flows of capital to support sustainable projects and strategies. In the context of our recent efforts in gender-focused finance, it is my great pleasure to share some insights on how stock exchanges can better contribute to the realization of the UN SDG 5 on gender equality and female empowerment. As you know, stock exchange gathers issuers and investors, and it can direct capital flows to projects promoting gender equality and female empowerment. By financing projects for the betterment of the lives of women and girls, LSE, Luxembourg Stock Exchange, provides visibility and awareness through a flag system that shows investors sustainable investment opportunities, advances gender perspective investment, and supports issuers in bringing such bonds to the international capital market, thus enhancing gender-focused financing through increased transparency and credibility. In 2022, we signed an MOU with one of the co-hosts of the symposium today, UN Women, one of marking the first step into gender-focused finance. We commit to jointly promoting gender finance investment with a gender perspective to support women's equal opportunities in economic activities. This led to our introduction of a new flag for gender-focused bonds, which highlight securities that advance gender equality objectives and contribute to SDG 5. So what exactly is GFB? Or gender-focused bond. It could be CSR bond, sustainability bond, or SLB, sustainability-linked bond, that allocate all or a portion of their financing to concrete projects and strategies that advance gender equality objectives. The allocation of proceeds to these projects should be clearly stated in post-issuance reports, including use of proceeds and impacts. Today, issuers from all over the world, such as African Development Bank, the European Commission, development banks, and the International Fund for Agriculture Development and others have listed nearly 70 gender-focused bonds on LSE, and we are very proud to be able to flag these products on LGX, offering insights to investors that are passionate about gender equality and female empowerment. And our goal is to convene investors to identify financing instruments that support women and girls, while encouraging more issuers to decide on or highlight their contribution to gender equality and female empowerment. And just today, during the International Women's Day celebration in Luxembourg, we celebrated the presentation of a gender-focused bond by an Argentinian nonprofit organization, which raises funding to offer loans to some 1,700 low-income female entrepreneurs in Argentina. Just wait a second, I think we're having some technical problem. And we cannot hear Ms. Zhang at the moment. Please bear with us. We will be back soon.
President of Greater Bay Area Carbon Neutrality Association, the VP of the International Green Economy Association. I know Susan did very well in the carbon neutrality circle, and also a very successful female carbon neutrality investor. And so, Susan, I would like to ask, as a successful female founder in a male-dominated field, how do you perceive gender equality in the entrepreneurial sphere? For example, do women have equal opportunities in accessing capital resources? You can have your own example. Additionally, what opportunities do you see for climate financing promoting gender equality? Please.
好的，谢谢苗博士。Thank you, Dr. Miao. And I am very delighted to have this opportunity to be here. And in terms of carbon transaction, this is a new sector, and perhaps a lot of people don't really know about this. And Ms. Wang, and she's quite a leader in this area. And globally speaking, there are many carbon reduction programs. However, whenever we have women or girls involved in such carbon reduction projects, will be very popular. For instance, recently in a lot of low-income countries, and we work on carbon reduction projects. I just came back from Mongolia, and for instance, in these countries, I would invest in some projects, and for instance, energy saving, etc. And these are the projects are to help with women, and we know that women play a very important role in their families. And for instance, they work and provide a lot of help. And for the same projects, and for carbon reduction project is probably about $7 per ton. And for some of these projects that would help with women and girls, and this would be about $15 to $45 per ton. And so you can see that for some of these STG or labeled projects, and they are very popular. And this is one of my feelings in my work. And of course, and in terms of our company, and whilst we work in international investment, and we also focus on projects that are targeted at the protection of women and girls. Just now, we have also heard from many of our experts and in terms of how to protect women and how to protect the outlook of women and girls. And in terms of my personal research work and my personal experience, I could tell that with the development of global economy shift, and women have been provided with a lot of opportunities. For instance, in the past, people use the burning of coal, and now with energy transition, and we are encouraging, for instance, the alternative energies or renewable energies, and for instance, to encourage women to use solar power, etc., and to help with their health protection. And in the meantime, also providing a lot of new employment opportunities. So we have also heard about a lot of these energy saving projects, for instance, agricultural projects and agricultural and green projects. And those are all projects that women are encouraged to participate. So for those type of projects, and whether it is for the government, and we see that everyone is quite willing to participate and get involved. And recently, I'm also discussing with a lot of these governments. I have recently also felt about this. And roughly about 2 weeks ago, I was in Vietnam, and the government charity fund has told us very clearly that they are willing to be invested in these projects at a very low. Ms. Wang mentioned about education. In the past few years, we have worked with many NGOs, many universities, and to carry out training programs. Throughout this process, we also encourage more women to participate in this capacity building process. And in terms of their social sustainability process, and they can be part of this, improve their capacity, and to enhance their employment opportunities so that they can live better in a more sustainable way. This is my personal feeling. And as a female entrepreneur, and this is 14 years of our company. Throughout the development of our company, I have also felt whether it is from the ESG perspective or sustainable development perspective for our board, and we have also enhanced women's investment. And for instance, we would tend to hire a high proportion of females, and to help with our company's effectiveness and efficiency in terms of the running of our company. And in the interest of time, perhaps I stop here.
Susan, so I think the tech issue has been resolved. Can you speak, Ms. Zhang? You can add more points as time is limited. Maybe there's 1 minute for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking, please.
刚刚正好也提到了我们有李烨女
We have just heard in terms of the women's role and actually for Luxembourg and exchange and from our management team to our excom members and our mid-level managers, we have seen the improvement of the percentage of women as well as female speakers in terms of participating in panels. And for instance, if the panelists, the opposing sides, they put forward male speakers, and for Luxembourg exchange, we would put forward women to take up this speaker role. And for instance, in terms of developing our work. And not only that, we have a labeling on our platform and actually in our class, and we have dedicated a gender finance course. And this is to help the participants and to understand for the capital market and to how to realize gender equality. And in the meantime, and through LGX and system services to support the capacity building, and we help issuers of gender bonds and other sustainable bonds at every step of the issuance process. It is critical that we build awareness and understanding of gender finance in the broader financial community to work jointly, bring gender-focused investment opportunities to the market so that we can pool our resources together in promoting gender equality and female empowerment through finance. Thank you very much, and we look forward to more market participants working with us and with LGX.
From Luxembourg's exchange stock. And next, I think as time is limited, we would like to conclude this panel, but there are three interactive speakers. Firstly, I would like to invite the Miss Nina Lakewoa, Associate Vice President for Global Compliance of ETS. We know it is a well-known educational company. We would like to invite you to say more as time is limited, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Thank you.
Loud enough? That better? I think some of the takeaways that I've had during this talk is really about enabling girls and women to tap into potential, and then so doing, we enable human progress. And that's at the core of ETS's mission in providing educational equity around the world. And so as I'm thinking about partnerships between private and public, I think it's, in the spirit of focusing on education, looking to partnerships with companies that, one, are doing this in a commercial context, and two, can bring thought leadership, innovation to delivering programs, to helping and partnering with you in building frameworks and processes that deliver measurable, right, evidence-based, research-backed results so that we can use this in supporting policy development and supporting our partnership again in the business context. Thank you.
Thank you. And we move to Ms. Zilphia He. Ms. Zilphia He is a Vice President of GDPC. It's yours. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Miao. I am delighted to have this opportunity on behalf of GIADA as well as Jana Garden to sponsor this event today. And I hope that you enjoy the snacks and tea break that we have provided. And it's a very treasured opportunity for us to hear from the ambassadors and to talk about the macro and micro economic level. And from GIADA's perspective, I'd also like to supplement. And for GIADA, in terms of the industries that we are in, and it perhaps quite different from some of you guys, and we are in the luxury dining and fashion area, and we are very friendly towards women. So just now we have heard from Chatterjee, and he talked about Chairman Mao mentioning that women are support half of the sky, and in our company, actually, women to support all the sky, and about 80% of our managers are all women, and this is something that we are very proud of, and we believe that all the
policies should come from the companies and then to influence our consumers for Giada and as a luxury brand. And in terms of our marketing, and we do not really focus on the product. Rather, it is more about building up a women's community. This is about women's leadership, and that they can have insight into this. And every year we will have a Giada Academy, and this is our mega events annually. And we invite all these elite women to come and talk about culture and knowledge. And in addition, we also have a podcast, and it is hosted by Ms. Chen Yu, and she's a very famous hostess in China. And we invited different women to come and talk about their experiences. So from an economic and a finance perspective, and from the mindset, we also provide women with a lot of ways to help them to break through the stereotypes and to be brave, to be them and be who they are. And in terms of our brand, we have a spirit and which is to basically continue to blossom and for all of these women, and they are brave, they are gentle at the same time, and we wish all the women a great day celebrating their day today. And thank you very much for your sharing. And we also have Dr. Hao, and he is a very famous doctor, and she is from Ariel Plus, and Chief Medical Officer Lily Hao.
A real dental. I'm a dentist. I'm already been working as a dentist nearly 35 years. So I'm very glad to meet everybody. You are so talented, so elite. So I feel I'm so lucky. I learned a lot from you. I know nothing about the investment. I don't know any number. I'm not very good at number at all. But I think the healthy is the most important thing for everybody, even for our women, no, everybody. So I would like to say, I know you are very busy, so maybe you can spare 3 minutes every day to brush your teeth, take good care of yourself, and every 6 months to spare maybe half an hour to visit your dentist to do regular checkup, and hopefully you have good health. And also, I have been a dentist for so many years. I would love to do. You do a lot of things I cannot do, but I'd love to do anything to kindergarten, to school student, to anyone. If you need anything I can do, I'm right at your service. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, all of us.
And a healthy, happy life.
Okay, thank you. So we have to, how time flies, we have to conclude this session, but I think it's a very successful session. And as we draw this symposium to a close, I'm delighted to reflect on the success of today's gathering. Distinguished guests, today we are highly represented from different sectors, including from OECD, UNDP, UNFPA, and the other UN family organizations. And of course, we have a lot quite impressive investors to China, including South Africa, Rwanda, Mozambique, EU, and Canada. And we also have the Chinese government representative from NDRC, from the Ministry of Finance, and the National Women's Foundation. So it's a highly representative group today. During the seminar, I quite impressed by a lot of opinions on how to empower and finance the women through the instruments and through the approaches. We share the practices and upon the experience and the better better experience to empower women from the policy making, from the private sector, from the public policies, of course, from the international cooperation. So it's quite important occasion today. And as time is limited, I cannot point out everybody's the points, but for me, it's quite important there, and I think every but here learn a lot. And today's meeting explored the importance of investing in women from several perspectives, including like the international development cooperation, public policy, and the public-private partnership. We have 3 sessions touch upon those different sessions. It's quite impressive agenda setting up. Thank you, Simriti. And your leadership, under your leadership, we set up such a very organized and productive agenda. Additionally, cross-sector efforts can be strengthened in China through various strategies. Foster partnership between the government, private sector, civil society, and academia to leverage resources and expertise for investing in women. Introduce financing incentives or subsidies to encourage business and organizations to invest in women's education, training, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Like I remember Ms. Yang mentioned, in Chinese government, we still lack of kind of department of division just on the gender equality. Is quite impressive. I just share with Simriti and other colleagues. Thirdly, utilize data and research to identify gaps and opportunities to invest in women across various sectors. How to mobilize and coordinate and alignment itself is very important. Establishing mechanisms for monitoring and evaluating. Just the EU representative and the other colleagues I mentioned that from the UN system also mentioned that the monitoring and the evaluation itself is very important as well. We should establish the mechanism to do something, ensure accountability and continuous improvement. Looking ahead, I hold firm in my belief that our collective efforts will propel us towards a more equitable and prosperous world through financing our girls and women, through empower girls and women. I would like to once again extend my sincere gratitude to our long-term corporate counterpart and the corporate partner, Simriti from UN Women China office. You did a very good job and the leadership for gender equality. Furthermore, I wish to express deep appreciation to the UN family organization, UNDP, and the different UN organization, UNPF, FPA, and of course ambassadors to China and representatives, the academia. You are well-known scholars and take your time to share the opinions with us is quite impressive. And I would like to acknowledge the hard work of UN Women China, your great team and the CCG team, of course, and the global development promotion center, your team, including our colleagues Cai Jing and Tang and the colleagues from UN Women. Thank you all, and Ms. Wang Bing, thank you all for your dedication efforts. Without you, we cannot happen today's wonderful event. Let us carry forward the momentum generated by today's discussion and continue. Today's event sparked the light, I think, sparked the light itself. And I remember the ambassador from Rwanda, you mentioned the Mandela, there's wonderful sentences that empower from South Africa, empower women, empower nation, empower the global world. It's our continued prosperity. Thank you very much. Thank you all for participating. And thank you to Mireli's leadership. Would you like to say some more? Thank you.